Today I'm going to be going over Kits AI, which is an online service that has packaged things like RVC and UVR all into one space. So we're going to go ahead, jump into the website, and when you get to the front page, it's going to look like this. So you can get started by logging in, and you can make an account with Google, Discord, or whatever you choose. So I'm going to go over two things in this video. I'm going to go over the website, and then I'm going to go over their API. So a cool thing, you can actually use their API if you are coding or need it for some type of project. You can call their API to be able to do a voice conversion without needing RVC or UVR on your computer. Now, the only thing is that everything is stored on Kits AI, and there are some plans and pricing to use this service. So everything that you need is going to be on this left-hand side right here. So you've got conversion, train, the tools, and then library. So let's go ahead, head to the train tab first. And what train tab is RVC, to where you can train an RVC voice. This is the one that you use for the voice cloning, to where you can convert one voice to another voice for things like songs or text-to-speech. To do this, you would go ahead and do start training. You would drag some files into here. So in my case, I have a folder with some files that I used for my Kits AI trained voice. And then you would, you can do a couple of things. You can clean up vocals, which will apply the harmony and reverb, and you can remove instruments, two settings that are inside of UVR. And then so you would just continue, you would name it, say something like me too. And then you would go ahead and click train. Now, this will take quite a bit of time, so I'm not going to start a new training right now, but this one took me about 11 hours for this voice to train. And once you're done with that, you can then head to convert. But if I go into my libraries, you'll see I have some slots here. And this is the model that I was able to train on Kits AI. Now, what you can also do here is if you have an RVC PTH file, you can find it. I'm going to upload this as a PTH file that I often use in my videos, and then just upload this model here. So it's going to take a little bit of time to upload. And now that it's uploaded, it brings you to this conversion page, which you could be able to use it. But now if I go to my voices, go to uploads, you'll see that I have an uploaded voice. So let's jump over into conversion and see how this works. So when you jump over to the page, you're going to have this square up here that you'll need to click the plus mark to use. So you can use some of the voices that they have trained on here if any of these voices are interesting to you. So let's go ahead and take a listen to one.
I've been awake for a while now.
And I'm also going to do a quick comparison a little bit later where I use an RVC trained voice versus the Kits trained voice, because Kits, they use a different pre-trained model to train their voices, so it's supposed to be better in pitches. And so one neat little thing is that you can use YouTube videos for the conversion that you want to do. So I just copied "Hey There Delilah," and I'm just going to enter in that YouTube link here. All right, and now we'll go over some of these quick settings. So these are all the ones that you see inside of RVC, but the pitch semitones, that's how much you want to change the pitch. So say, for example, I was using a female voice model and I want to convert "Hey There Delilah." Since the singer of "Hey There Delilah" is male and I want to convert it to female, I would do +12. But in this case, I'm going to leave it at 0 since it's male to male. And I'll put a little conversion pop-up right here that you can see and pause for your reference. In this case, I'm going to leave conversion strength at 50, volume blend at 50, and then just run convert. This is going to do a conversion with it. And what's going to happen is it's going to take the instrumentals out, take the vocals out, run the voice on the vocals, and then re-merge them. And that's going to be right here. So let's just take a little bit of a listen to it.
Hey there, Delilah, what's it like in New York City? I'm 1,000 miles away.
All right, so there's that. I don't want to play too much before my video gets copywritten. For comparison's sake, I want to do a inference just on the vocals. So what I'm going to do instead is just add in the already separated "Hey There Delilah." Alrighty, and so I've got this here. So I just uploaded the vocals of it. Now it says pitch too high. So in this case, I could follow their advice and lower the pitch to where it would match my voice a little bit better. So in that case, we're going to do -6 here. There are some additional advanced settings you can do. Remove instrumentals if you have instrumentals. Remove reverb and delay from vocals if there's reverb in the vocals. And then remove backing vocals. So we're not going to play with any of that because I've already separated this file using UVR and just inference this given my uploaded file. All right, so that's all done here. We're gonna go ahead and play it and take a listen to it real quick.
Hey there, Delilah, what's it like in New York City? I'm 1,000 miles away, but girl, tonight you look so pretty, as you do.
I'll go over one quick thing real quick, and you see this download button right here. When you download a file, it's going to use your minutes, so you can see your minutes that you have here. This is dependent on what type of plan that you have, but you only use download minutes whenever you download the songs. You can do as many conversions as you would like, and the only time you'll use up your download minutes is if you use this download button. So I think that is really neat. That is pretty nice. Now we could switch voices as well. We can go do like this Azaz voice, and you see we're gonna get 2 here. So let's just go ahead and run that same conversion right here. And here you can see that now I've got one for Azaz, and then I've got one for me. So it looks like download minutes again won't be used because I've already downloaded this file. So let's just take a listen to the Azaz one real quick.
Hey there, Delilah, what's it like in New York City? I'm 1,000 miles away, but girl, tonight you look so pretty, as you do.
Alrighty, so yeah, that sounds like my Azaz voice. So let's go ahead and go over a couple of other things. So So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the Azaz voice and do the text to speech here. We're going to do a little bit of text to speech, and I think the text to speech quality out of this is pretty good. So let's just go ahead and do a YouTube prompt. Thank you for watching this YouTube video. Hope you find it useful. I'm going to go ahead and do a conversion, and let's go ahead and take a listen.
Thank you for watching this YouTube video. Hope you find it useful.
Alrighty, so that's pretty neat. In my opinion, not as good as Tortoise, but the pitch matching is pretty good because it's using this me model that was trained on my voice. So to make and change voice models, you can use their blender, which allows you to kind of merge 2 voices. So for example, you could do like this male Afro beat and then this female traditional pop, or you can even do it with your voice as well. If you do a trained one, you can do me, and you can adjust the blend ratio for this. Now, in this case, let's just blend those 2 voices, and it creates one. It's going to be done in about 2 minutes. So as you see right here, I've already got a me plus female lo-fi, and so that is pretty neat. Down in my conversions, you can see all of the conversions that you've done, and you've got pages that you could check out as well. And then they've got some tools that you can use, such as the vocal remover. So this is like UVR. You can put in a song here, you can put in YouTube, and it's going to output the track. So in this case, this is a song that I had created on Suno. And so it separated it from the background instrumentals, which I think is pretty neat. So this is UVR. And then here is the AI mastering. For me, I'm not too entirely amazed with the AI mastering so far. And I did some conversions on this for that Suno song. So if we take a listen to the original. Sitting by the window, a tear in my eye. That's the original, and then let's go ahead and take a listen to the mastered for Analog Warmth. Sitting by the window, a tear in my eye. And these other ones, they're a little bit different in some areas, but this is a relatively newer feature that they implemented into Kits, so they'll probably be adding more things to it later on in the future. But yeah, you can go ahead and play around with this AI mastering. The cool thing, like I said, you can do as many conversions as you would like. Then you just use your download minutes. Once you click download, you'll use your download time. So as of right now, you won't be wasting any of that by doing conversion. All right, so those are all of the features inside of the Kits web UI. Now I'm going to show you how you can use it Pythonically inside of code. And this is going to be for people that want to put it into programs or use it in some type of programming pipeline. So I'm going to show you their documentation and just go through it a little bit. All right, so here is the documentation. You've got a getting started area. So it's just telling you to make an API key. But what we're going to do is we're going to open up VS Code first. So let's go ahead, open up a new VS Code and get a new project going. Let's go ahead and create a new file. We're going to call this main.py. And what I'm going to show you is how to do an audio conversion with the Kits API. So there are a couple of things that you're going to need for imports. You're going to need imports requests. There you go. And then you're going to need import JSON. And you're going to get a little bit of a squiggly under requests because we have to install that. So for this, I'm just going to create a new virtual environment. which you can do with Python -mvenv evenv, and then you can type in venv tab scripts tab activate tab, and it'll fill in right there. So it's activated, and now I can do pip install requests. So that'll get requests installed into our program, and then I can reset the language server here. The squiggly line will go away. So now what we're going to do is go through the documentation. I'll show you just a little bit on how you can reference the documentation to do both posts and gets. So let's head over to the voice model API. This is how we're going to fetch our voice models that we've either trained or the ones that are available on Kits. And what we're going to do is this top one right here. So first thing we need to do is copy this URL. So go ahead and click that copy button. Oh, and then there's one more thing that we do need to do. We need to change this to our virtual environment down in the bottom right corner. If you click it, you can then choose your environment that you want to work in. All right, so now that we've got that URL copied, we can create a variable called URL, and we're going to put it inside of quotes. So we're going to pass this into our request.get. And then once we have our URL, we're going to need to set up our request. So the easiest way to do that is head into the documentation, and we'll take a look at what parameters it needs. So these are the parameters that we can pass. And then we're going to need our header, which is our API key or authorization. So let's set up the header first. And in order to do that, we're going to need an API key. So what you can do is head on over into this API tokens area and make a new API token by clicking new token up in the top right corner there. And then once you have a new API token, we can make a new variable called API token. I actually have my API key right here. Make sure there is no space before this underscore. And then what we can now do is create a dictionary called headers equals squiggly brackets. And what we're going to do is copy this header name in the documentation. So authorization. And then we're just going to create a key value dictionary. So put our key in there. Okay, for some reason, when I try to actually copy this, it doesn't allow me to paste it. So I think there's something wrong with documentation there. So we're just going to type it in, authorization, and then we'll do our colon, and then we'll do, in this case, we're going to create an F string, because what we actually need to do is do bearer and then space and then API key. So to format this, we do capital B, bearer, space, and then we can do our F string by doing squiggly brackets and then passing it in like that. So our header is built, and that's going to be our authorization. And then the next thing we need to build are our parameters. So this is going to be our parameters dictionary. We'll do some more squiggly brackets, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to create our key value dictionary, and I'm going to fill it in with these parameters right here. So we're going to be using 4 of the parameters. I'm actually ignoring this instruments one. We don't need it because I'm not using filter the response to instrument mode only. I'm just going to be trying to get my model here, and then models per page, and then what page I believe is what that is here. I think the biggest one that you'd want to change is going to be my models, and I'm going to put that to true, as I only want to see my models. All right, so with the header and parameters built, we can now create our requests. So we're going to make a variable called response. We're going to do requests.get. Requests.get. And inside of here, we'll do URLs equal URL. So we already established that URL above. Headers equals header. And then params equals params. And then so once we do that, we can now use that to get our response status code, which we can then use and get our JSON file. So what I would advise is you take a look at these responses right here and create an if-else loop so that you can kind of debug what is happening with your code. But in this case, I'm just going to do a simple if and then else. So I'm going to do if response.status code equals, in this case, it's going to be 200, but 200 is for okay. This is going to be our response that we get if it's okay. We're going to first look at the response. So we'll do print JSON dumps responses. or response.json, and then we're going to do indent equals 4 to make it look pretty. And that's all we're going to do for now. And then in this else, I'm going to just print something that says string something happened and there was an issue. So this is just going to capture all of the other issues if there are any issues. And what we can do is run this. So let's go ahead and run with Python debugger and see what we get. So in this case, we got a JSON back, and this is what we printed out. And so you can take a look at all the data here. So here's the Azaz that I uploaded earlier, me male Afrobeat, to the me plus female lo-fi, and then the me model. So I've got all 4 of the models that I have access to. And what I want to do for this is extract the ID from that. So what I can do now is comment this out. And now what we can do is get the name and get the ID, and we can put them into a dictionary. So to do that, I came up with a list comprehension to achieve that. So in long form, all this is doing is for voice in the JSON response, create me a dictionary that has the voice title and then the voice ID. So we'll go ahead and now print this response out so that we can take a look at it. So let's go ahead and run this code. And now we're going to get a list with the name and then the ID of that name. All right, and now there are a bunch of different ways that you can parse this data. This is just how I decided to do it so that I could find what ID I want to use here. So that is how we successfully grab models from the documentation of the API. And so if later along the line you want to see what voice names are inside of here, what you can do is print out every single item inside this list. So you could do something like for item in voice underscore name, print item. And so I'm going to comment out this one, and it's going to give me all the arrays inside of the list. So in this case, I could pick the ID that I want to use. And so what I'm going to do is choose me in this case. So we're going to comment out this print item, and I think there are a bunch of different ways to do this, but I can think of one way off the top of my head, which is we're going to put it inside of a try except, and then try to find the index value that we want. So in this case, we know we want me. I'll do item. We're going to look for me, and we could just do a print for this, and then we'll just capture the other ones inside of an except. So, and I'm going to get the ID back. So ID in this case is going to equal this number here. So now that I know that, let's go ahead and store that inside of a value called voice ID, and that's going to be the key that we want. All right, so now that we have our voice ID, what we want to do is create a post. We want to create a conversion. So if we head over to the voice conversion API, we can take a look here. We're going to need the same header, and then we're going to need some new things inside of the parameters here for the body. So let's go ahead and now set this up. So we're going to need a new URL. In this case, we're going to do, let's say, URL for conversion. To do that, we just copy this conversions post up here, and then we'll go back in, and we'll go back into here, paste that. And since we already established our header up here and we're using the same header, we don't have to instantiate a new one there, but we do want to instantiate some new parameters for the conversion. And then we're also going to need to pass data as raw bytes. So let's just go ahead and set up the parameters or the data that we want to pass over first. So instead of calling this one parameters, we're just going to call it data. In this case, we want to set up our voice model ID. So let's do that. Voice model ID. And that's the voice model ID that we used earlier. So since we have it up here, we can actually just pass that as voice ID. So this is for me. So that's the me model. Then for conversion strength, we'll just set up one for conversion strength model volume mix. Pitch shift, let's just go ahead and do 0. So no pitch shift for this. And then I'm not passing any of these other ones in here, but now what we do need to do is pass sound file. So what I can do in here is we're going to create a new variable called file, and we'll pass in a new dictionary where it'll have a key of sound file. And then what we're going to need to do is pass in some type of wave file. So in this case, I'm going to use this Delilah wave file that I have here. And I'm going to, since it's in the same directory, I can just use the name of it. And so I do Delilah.wave, and then we're going to need to open it as raw bytes. So we'll just do Delilah.wave again, and then comma, and we'll do RB, which is raw bytes. And so that's all we need to do for sending over a audio conversion file. And then now we can set up our response. So we've got a new response now. What's going to be requests.post. In this case, we're using post instead of get. We'll do our URL is equivalent to URL conversion. We'll do data. Well, we could actually just do params equals and data. And then we could do files equals file, as we've got a file we want to send. All right, and the rest is pretty much the same. We're going to do if response.status code is equivalent to 200. That means the conversion went well. We'll set a new variable called conversion data equals response.json. And then if we actually go into the documentation here, you can see what type of dictionary it's going to respond back with. It's just a dictionary without any additional dictionaries inside of it. And since we want to grab ID, we can actually just specify that. So in this case, we'll do job ID equals response equals conversion data, and then we'll just put that ID that we want. So it's going to be ID. And then I'm just going to do print, do f string job ID is equivalent to job ID. So that's going to print it out. Else, if something goes wrong, we'll just print out the response.status code. All right, so that'll print out the response.status code. In this case, now this is going to do conversion. We need one more block of code that's going to now get the conversion. All right, and to do this, now we just need to do one additional get. And to do this one, we're going to scroll up and do get voice conversion by ID. So we have the ID that we need, and we need to set up this URL in a specific way. So let's go ahead and copy this here. We'll call this URL underscore get conversion. We'll paste this into here, and then we actually need to replace this colon ID with our job ID. So what we can do here is actually just do an f string. So we'll put job ID in here, and then just feed in this variable into the URL here. We need another header, so we'll just use the same header that we've been using, so we don't need to set that up again. And we should be good to call a get now. So we can set up a response once again. Do requests.get URL equals URL get conversion. Headers equals headers. And then we'll do the same thing. And now let's just run through this entire thing. So let's go ahead and run. We forgot to put in our headers file here. All right, let's go ahead and slap in headers. Okay, so let's rerun that one more time, and we should be able to get this through. Alrighty, so this is successful because we've got a job ID now here. So let's just go ahead and step through the next parts of it. And we've got our job data and then our response here. Cool. So we got all of the stuff that we needed. And the one, if you take a look down here, we have this output file URL. This is actually going to be the one that we want to get. Now, it didn't give me an output file URL yet because we are still running the conversion on the Kits website. So because I actually don't want to rerun another job, I'm actually going to put this get conversion into another script. So what we can do is just do, we'll call this get conversion.py, cut this out and paste it into here. We'll just need to do import requests. And then we're gonna take this here, URL conversion, And since we don't have job ID, we just need to set that up here. So we have the job ID from the previous script. Ideally, you could probably store this inside of a temporary file or like a JSON to get a job later. And then we need our headers with our API token. So go ahead, copy that all on over. And we should be good to go here. Let's go ahead and just run this one time just to make sure. And now if we take a look, so this just got the conversion job. We've got a lot more in here. So you can now see output file URL is packed with a URL here. So this is a link that expires after a certain amount of time that you can get the job or you can get the conversion. And so all we need to do is parse job data for output file, and we should be good to go. So let me just go ahead and do this real quick, and then I'll get back to the solution. All right, so I added this to the end, and this is basically now just downloading it over into the folder that you're running the script in. And it looks like I need to import OS. All right, so we'll go ahead and import OS, and let's run this script now. So it's going to take a little bit of time to download, save file saved, and here we go. So let's go ahead and take a listen to it real quick.
Hey there, Delilah, what's it like in New York City?
Cool. So it looks like the conversion job was done correctly already. So that's how you can do a voice conversion job with the API. And all of this code is going to be up on my GitHub. So you can find it in the description down below. But this definitely will need some modification if you want to implement it into your own Python scripts. All right, so now let's jump into a comparison between the two. So what I'm going to do is run inference on an RVC trained voice and then run inference on the Kits trained voice. Now I'll just go ahead and paste in this audio file here and then drag this into here. Actually, I need to change this path. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is -6 in RVC, and then I'm going to do -6 on these semitones here. For conversion strength, that's equivalent to index value on RVC. So in this case, it would be this one down here. So I'll do 0.5. And then for volume scaling, I'll do 0.5 as well. And then I'm going to resample this to 48K. Now, I believe these should be equivalent settings between RVC and the Kits. So let's go ahead and run this conversion on RVC and then run it on Kits. So here we go. We'll see what we get. All right, so both of them have finished up. What I'm going to do is play Kits first, and then I'm going to play RVC. So you be the judge on which one is better. Kits has a different pre-trained model that's supposed to help it a little bit better in a wider range of frequencies. So Kits first, then RVC.
Our friends would all make fun of us and we'll just laugh along because we know that none of them have felt this way. So I can promise you that by the time we get through the war, we'll never ever be the same, and you're to blame. 1,000 miles seems pretty far, but they've got planes and trains and cars that walk to you if I had no other way. Our friends would all make fun of us and we'll just laugh along because we know that none of them have felt this way. So I can promise you that by the time we get through the war, we'll never ever be the same, and you're to blame.
Alrighty, so what did you think? Now you may be wondering, what if it's a little bit outside of my range? And so we're going to go ahead and inference on 3 plus 3 for the transpose for the semitones. So in this case, let's listen to RVC first, and then we'll listen to Kits after it's done processing.
1,000 miles seems pretty far, but they've got planes and trains and cars that walk to you if I had no other way. Our friends would all make fun of us and we'll just laugh along because we know that none of them have felt this way. So I can promise you that by the time we get through the war, we'll never ever be the same, and you're to blame.
1,000 miles seems pretty far, but they've got planes and trains and cars. I'd walk to you if I had no other way. Our friends would all make fun of us, and we'll just laugh along because we know that none of them have felt this way. So I can promise you that by the time we get through, the world will never ever be the same, and you're to blame.
All right, so in that case, they both sound like completely different models, and I'll let you be the judge on which one you think sounds better. All right, so now we're gonna go over some plans and pricings, and there are some considerations to make if you do want to get a subscription. So $9.99 a month, you're going to get 30 download minutes. So that's what I was talking about earlier. You can make as many conversions as you want, and you're only going to get charged for download minutes. So with this, you get 30 minutes of those downloads, where if you're on the creator plan, you get unlimited download minutes. I think that is the biggest difference between converter and creator. Is you get this audio, you get more audio downloads from being on the creator plan, and between all three of them, you have more slots as a composer. So that's going to be the biggest differences. Now, if you're on a free plan, you can't clone a voice. However, you can do conversions, you just can't download them. So you can do as many conversions as you'd like with their voices on here, so all their free voices. But the only thing that you're not going to be able to do is download those files. So you would have to upgrade to a different plan. So you can check out their FAQ down here. It's got answers to more questions. And as of me covering this video right now, this is what their plans entail. So, all right, but that's going to be it for today's video. I'd like to thank Kits for making this collaboration possible. I think it's pretty cool to be able to package it up onto a website. Don't need to do anything locally. So this is a nice alternative for those users who want to do things on the web without having all the installation local. So link down below is going to be both an affiliate and a non-affiliate link for signing up for Kits to give it a try. The affiliate link I do get a little bit of a cut from, so if you want to use and sign up with that, that would be appreciated. But I'll leave the other one there as well too. With that, it's going to be the end of today's video. I'd like to thank the members of my channel and appreciate your guys' support. So see you later.